It's sitting on its perch when you walk in, crest flat, eyes half closed, body turned just a bit away from you. It looks totally unbothered, almost indifferent. You might think it hasn't even noticed you yet, but it noticed you before you even touched the door handle. It heard the specific sound of your footsteps in the hall, the weight, the rhythm, the pace, and cross-reference that against a profile it's been building on you since the first week you moved in. It noted exactly how today's entry compares to yesterday's. It filed the difference, whatever it was, against the running average it keeps of who you are, how you move, and what your presence usually means for the next few hours. That look on its face, the one that makes it seem like you're barely there, that isn't indifference. That's a verdict. Most people think of their cockatoo as just emotionally reactive, a bird that mirrors your mood, swinging between needing affection and acting out based on stuff you can't quite predict. That framing puts you in charge. You act, the bird reacts. You set the tone, the bird follows. But honestly, that's totally backward. Cockatoos are some of the most cognitively sophisticated birds on the planet. Their brain-to-body ratio is right up there with great apes. They use tools. They can delay gratification. They understand cause and effect, and most importantly, they remember individuals across years and contexts. These aren't the capabilities of an animal that just reacts. These are the capabilities of an animal that plans, models, and evaluates. And what a cockatoo evaluates, with a persistence that would be unsettling if it weren't so brilliant, is the social world it lives in. In the wild, a cockatoo's survival is all about social intelligence. The flock is everything. Access to food, protection from predators, finding a mate, it all comes down to social standing. And your standing comes down to how well you can assess the others in the group. Who is reliable? Who is a threat? Who is rising? And who is falling? Your cockatoo didn't leave that assessment system behind when it moved into your home. It just redirected the whole thing entirely onto you. Here is why this matters, and it goes way beyond just being interesting. Cockatoos are one of the few animals on Earth that develop real psychological disorders because of the quality of their human relationships. I'm talking about actual neurological distress, self-mutilation, severe anxiety, feathered destruction that pops up when a bird is stuck with unpredictable or emotionally dysregulated caregiving. These birds aren't built to be misread. They need to be understood accurately. The cruel irony is that most owners think they're doing a great job. They're paying attention to the bird, responding to it while the bird is running a totally different, much deeper operation in the same room. What follows is basically a field guide to that operation. By the end of this, you won't be able to look at your cockatoo without finally understanding what it's been doing with all that watching. If you never thought about cockatoo behavior this way as active, cognitive evaluation rather than just emotional reaction, make sure to subscribe. This is exactly the kind of stuff we dig into on this channel, finding the hidden intelligence in the ordinary. Now, let's get into what your cockatoo has actually been doing all this time. The first thing your cockatoo evaluated was your emotional consistency. It didn't care if you were nice, it cared if you were predictable. In a flock, your value comes from being steady. A predictable member gives off trustworthy signals. When they sound the alarm, it actually means something. When they're calm, you know you're safe. That information is legible, which makes it useful, which makes it a cornerstone of survival. An unpredictable member, they just create noise. And in the wild, noise is dangerous. It corrupts the information everyone else depends on. From the very first day you shared a space, your cockatoo started mapping your baseline. It learned the normal pace of your movement, the typical tone of your voice at 8 a.m. versus 6 p.m., and your usual evening rhythm. It built an internal model of you at rest, and it's been using that model to spot deviations ever since. Every single day, when you walk into that room, it runs the same scan. Does today match the model? Are the footsteps the same speed? Is the voice hitting the same frequency? Is the way they reach for things consistent with the last 100 times? And any deviation, any tiny shift in the pattern gets logged, weighted, and held against the running average. You aren't just entering a room, you are submitting to an ongoing evaluation of your reliability as a social partner. And the evaluation never, ever closes. But consistency is just the first part. The second thing, and this is way more specific and honestly a lot more intimate, is that your cockatoo has essentially mapped out your emotional states. I'm not talking about basic stuff like calm or upset. I mean, they've spent months watching how your body shifts when your mood shifts. They know the particular way you move when you're anxious. They can hear the change in your voice when you're holding something back. They can spot the difference, the real physical difference between when you're actually at ease and when you're just pretending to be calm while you're stressed out underneath. Researchers call this affective state discrimination. It's the ability to pick up on emotional states using a mix of signals, your posture, your movement, your voice, and even your smell. Seriously, your stress hormones have a chemical signature. It's hanging in the air, and your cockatoo can smell it. So on those days when you walk in feeling heavy but try to play it cool, when you're busy managing how you look instead of what you're actually feeling, your cockatoo already knows. The surface level calm doesn't match the signal you're actually broadcasting, and whenever that happens, their threat assessment system just flags the mismatch. It's not because the bird distrusts you. It's just that an animal that has spent months learning to read you like a book can't ignore the truth in favor of your performance. They see what's actually there, every single time. And this is where it gets heavy in a way most people aren't really prepared for. Cockatoos don't just look at each day in isolation. They keep what researchers call a longitudinal social record. It's this massive, ongoing history of your interactions that isn't just going to disappear because you had one good day. The proof of this is actually kind of wild. Cockatoos that have gone through a rough patch, maybe the household routine changed, or you were going through a stressful period, or there was a stretch of inconsistent handling. They'll keep acting differently for weeks or even months after the dust has settled. It's not that they haven't noticed things are better. It's just that their internal ledger requires a ton of proof before they'll rewrite their opinion of you. In the way a cockatoo's brain is wired, trust isn't something that's just given out day by day. It's built over a long time. And here's the kicker, it erodes a lot faster than it accumulates. That's exactly why so many owners get so confused when a bird that seemed to be doing great suddenly backslides. They think they fixed the problem. They stopped the biting. They dealt with the screaming, but they didn't deal with the ledger. And that ledger has a way longer memory than the behaviors you're seeing on the surface. Your cockatoo isn't forgetting. They're just recalibrating. And they're doing it slowly, carefully, and entirely on their own timeline. There's a fourth dimension to this whole evaluation, and honestly, it's the one that causes the most dramatic behavior. See, your cockatoo isn't just checking your mood or if you're a reliable person. It's checking your rank. In wild flocks, hierarchy isn't just about who's the biggest or the meanest. It's built on consistency. It's about who stays calm when things get tense, who makes smart decisions, and who the rest of the group turns to when they aren't sure what's happening. In their world, status goes to the bird that's the most stable, the easiest to read, and the most consistent. Your cockatoo is running that exact same test on you, and it's doing it in ways that, let's be honest, most of us completely misread. That bird screaming when you leave the room? It's not just being anxious. It's checking to see if you actually come back when you say you will. It's testing if you're the kind of flock member whose movements can be trusted. Or when your bird bites just because you're trying to put it back in the cage. That's not just being difficult. It's testing you. It wants to see if you stick to your guns when things get stressful. Every single one of these moments is a data collection event. And the results? They dictate exactly where you stand in the hierarchy. Here is what all that evaluation actually produces. After months of watching you tracking your consistency, reading your stress, keeping a mental log of your behavior, and testing your reactions, your cockatoo has arrived at a final grade. It's a precise, evidence-based, constantly updated assessment of exactly who you are in its world. And I don't mean whether it likes you. That's too simple. That's just a human way of looking at it. What the bird has determined is your functional role. It knows where you fit in the social structure, what kind of access you're allowed to have, and what behaviors on its part will keep its own world the most stable, based entirely on your specific, documented profile. That classification determines everything, whether it walks toward you or backs away, whether it calls out for you or goes silent, whether that crest stays flat or stands straight up the second you walk through the door. When that bird looked indifferent when you entered the room, it wasn't being indifferent. It was running a protocol response it calibrated specifically for the person you've proven yourself to be. Now, take a step back and really look at everything we've just mapped out. Think about it. For months, that animal in your living room has been running a non-stop psychological assessment of you. It's been tracking 5 distinct things: how emotionally consistent you are, your general mood, how reliable you actually are over time, how you handle pressure, and what your role is in its social world. And it did all of this without you knowing, without your consent, without caring about the story you tell yourself about who you are. The weirdest part, the part that really sticks with you and won't go away, is that its assessment is probably more accurate than how you see yourself. It doesn't have any reason to be nice to you. It's not invested in some comforting version of your personality. It just has the raw data, no fluff, no excuses. Honestly, that means the picture it's built of you is likely the most honest one in existence. Back in 2020, there was this study on Cockatoo's social cognition, and researchers found something wild. These birds didn't just keep long-term files on specific humans, they were actually predicting the future. They could anticipate what a person was about to do next just based on their history even before the person made a move. They weren't just remembering you, they were modeling you. They're running simulations of your behavior based on who you've proven yourself to be. That bird in your living room, it has a working model of you, a predictive simulation of your next move, all built from every single thing you've ever done in front of it. It knows you. And I'm willing to bet it knows you better than you know yourself. It's sitting on its perch right now. Crest flat, eyes half closed. You walked in, and in that split second, it noted your footsteps, cross-referenced the data, and ran the assessment. Whatever it decided about you today, whatever the result of that evaluation was, it just added it to the picture it's been building since day one. You are known. So, tell me, what's one thing your cockatoo has done that, looking back, was clearly an evaluation? Let me know in the comments. I really want to hear what you've seen.